Let's start with the macro, GP. Your assessment of this year's draft class is what?
I like it a lot, especially at the top. It's not clear-cut who should be the number one pick, although it does obviously appear Jabari Smith will be the number one pick. I can make an argument for at least 3 different guys, maybe 4, and any of them have a legitimate, reasonable chance to become a star, if not a superstar. There's going to be some future All-Stars, maybe even a future MVP coming out of this draft class, and tonight we get to see where they start their careers.
And you mentioned it, and look, as a guy who's on the outside watching on YouTube or obviously covering some games, it surprises me, but the reports are swirling that it will be Jabari Smith going number 1 overall. But Gary, you think Orlando may be passing and making a mistake by passing on Chet Holmgren. So what do you like about Holmgren at the 1 spot that maybe Orlando doesn't see?
Yeah, Chet Holmgren is the guy, if I were picking first, I would select. He is a 7'1" elite rim protector on defense who I think is going to be good enough, in terms of moving around to guard in space when he gets put in ball screens. I don't think he'll get played off the court too often, if at all. On offense, I don't know that we've seen too many players like him. I mean, he can bounce it, he can shot create, he can shot make. He was, the consensus best player in his high school class, went to Gonzaga, joined a program that was coming off of, a national championship game and led them, or at least contributed to them being the number 1 overall seed in the 2022 NCAA tournament. What Orlando or some other franchises might be skeptical of, and to be clear, he's not dropping far past 1, probably not past 2. They're worried about the body.
I mean, you just saw it. 7 feet. That wasn't a typo. Yeah. 195. I weigh 190.
He is very, very thin. But his body didn't stop him from being great at any other point in his life, and I'm not sure that it's going forward. I feel like in some ways it's a little bit like what happened to Luka Doncic when he was getting ready for his NBA draft. All the stuff you needed to see from a basketball perspective, it was there. And then people got caught up on his body, lack of athleticism, started focusing on theoretical problems or issues, and they just missed all the good stuff that was right in front of you. I feel like that's happening a little bit with Chet Holmgren. I would take him 1 because I think he's going to be terrific.
Hey, and he's got some swagger, which you love to see. So let's circle back to Jabari Smith, Gary. He's got length. He can shoot. He seems like a guy who would be terrific at the next level. Obviously, he's going to go in the top 3. How does his game translate?
Very, very well. I mean, where there are some legitimate questions about Chet Holmgren, I don't really think there's too many questions about Jabari Smith. I think Holmgren's upside is higher. If he becomes the best version of himself, I think he's the better player. That's why I would take him. But Jabari Smith is perfect for what you ask forwards to do in the NBA these days. I mean, he's 6'10". He can guard multiple positions. He's a good enough athlete, and he shot above 40% from three-point range. I mean, and on a high number of attempts per game. He's the son of a former professional basketball player, so he knows what it's like to work, to be, operating at the highest level of this sport. And he's a great teammate. Bruce Pearl, his coach at Auburn, told me earlier this year that the most interesting thing about Jabari Smith is that everybody thinks he's their best friend. That everybody calls him, that's my best friend, Jabari Smith. Really fits him well with everybody around him. And assuming he does go number 1, this is somebody who's got a chance to be obviously special at the next level.
This is how we feel about our guy Gary Parrish, too. You just walk around the newsroom, yeah, it's my best friend Gary. The top 3, as you mentioned, looks to be pretty much a lock. But the one name we haven't mentioned yet is Paulo Bencaro. No shot he slips out of the top 3, right?
I don't think so. I mean, Houston's got the easiest job in the NBA draft tonight because all along, you're just taking whichever of the group of Chet Holmgren, Jabari Smith, and Paulo Bencaro falls to you at 3. And it appears it's going to be Paulo Bencaro, who I do think is the safest option of these 3 players because you could drop him into an NBA game tonight, and he'd be able to go get you 20 points and 7 rebounds. He is going to be a capable shooter from the perimeter. He's really versatile, catching the ball and scoring in a variety of ways. Maybe not the same type of athlete that some of the other elite prospects are, but boy, he is big and strong and skilled, and he's going to be in this league for a long time.
All right, get ready to hear this a lot tonight as the draft gets going. GP is going to be holding it down on the HQ side of things. The draft starts at 4 because that's where the real intrigue is. And the names that have been floating around with this pick have been Jaden Ivey and Keegan Murray. Who would you go with at 4 if you were making the call?
I like both. I would go with Jaden Ivey. Simply put, I think he's the 4th best prospect in this draft with an opportunity to become, the best player from this draft. The guy who's picked first doesn't always become the best player. And if somebody were going to disrupt that in this draft, it would be Jaden Ivey. He's 6'4", combo guard, super athlete, probably the best athlete in this draft. Plays at a high level, attacks the rim violently. Think prime Russell Westbrook or prime John Wall. Got to be a little more focused on defense, but again, he doesn't have any physical limitations that are going to keep him from being solid defensively. And so, there's some questions about in Sacramento. How would he fit with De'Aaron Fox? I think he would fit fine. That's not a concern for me. And there's also some thought that franchises have targeted him and might be willing to try to move up to 4. And if you see somebody tonight move up to 4, trade with Sacramento, they are almost certainly doing it to get Jaden Ivey.
All right, Gary, so let's see what Jon Cooper meant. He was insinuating that the Avalanche had too many men on the ice right before the goal in overtime was scored. So here's a look at it, and you can see the numbers kind of laying this out, and it's pretty clear, as you mentioned before we even started the show, that this should have been called.
Evan, I can't tell you how much I've learned about NHL rules over the past.
This guy's been diving into the rule book.
24 hours.
Not just draft night for this dude.
The rule is you can't come on the ice until your teammate who's coming off is within 5 feet of the bench. His teammate was 42 feet from the bench. Now, did it impact the play? Reasonable minds could disagree on that. But the truth is, Jon Cooper's right. They did have too many men on the ice. The officials just missed it. And it's not reviewable. So that is that. The puck went into the back of the net, and Colorado is now just one win away from being your Stanley Cup champion.
It's brutal. And it makes you think of this and other sports where a call really does dictate in a lot of ways the outcome and the ripple effect it could have moving forward in terms of rules in the NHL and in sports at large. Wow. Some news you can use on a Thursday, Gary. PGA Tour Commissioner there, Jay Monahan, with some pretty strong words, interesting words about the LIV Golf Tour. What's your take on this situation? We haven't talked about it.
It's not great for golf because suddenly we don't have all of the best players in the world, for the most part, playing on the same tour. That's not good for golf fans, but I do think the PGA Tour, if we're being honest, probably made a mistake in not taking this threat seriously enough, because whether it's an irrational threat or a rational threat, it doesn't really matter. The bottom line is the same. It's a real threat. And I think on some level, they assumed if you keep saying blood money, blood money, blood money, most of the best golfers in the world will refuse to take it. But what we found out is that golfers are not going to be the people who draw this line with Saudi Arabia. A lot of different entities in the world do business with Saudi Arabia, including the United States government. And so to assume that golfers would turn down $200 million guaranteed, $150 million guaranteed, that seems to be a mistake. The idea of working less for a lot more money, apparently that's attractive to more golfers than the PGA Tour thought it would be initially. And now this is a real problem that they're going to have to figure out how to resolve.
What we didn't hear in that statement, and you hope we will hear moving forward, because I think it's the only real way to resolve this, is compromise. Finding a way to compromise with LIV Golf so the two can exist and the PGA Tour can still thrive with some of the best players in the country. I know that doesn't seem like the case right now, but it seems like the only way.
So far, the PGA Tour has shown no willingness or interest in doing that, but we might get to a point where they need to.
Yeah, I think so. News you can use from the NBA last night, not just the draft. The Trailblazers acquired Jeremy Grant from the Pistons for a 2025 first-round pick. You like the deal?
I do, for Portland, and it actually makes sense for both sides, but I especially like it for Portland. They're still trying to put a relevant team around Damian Lillard, and Jeremy Grant helps them do that in the here and now. There's some thoughts that some other deals might be in the works, and it looks like Portland might be going from, a team that has really struggled recently to a Western Conference playoff team, as soon as this upcoming season, and that might be enough to keep Damian Lillard happy and short of asking for a trade.
News you can use in Major League Baseball, where Shohei Ohtani is just incredible, Gary. 13 strikeouts on the mound a day after hitting 2 home runs and driving in 8. This is just amazing to watch night in and night out.
We've never seen anything like this. And I don't just mean you and I, but like baseball fans dating back a century. This is truly unique. You could make an argument that nobody has ever had back-to-back days in Major League Baseball as impressive as the 2 days Shohei Ohtani just put together. It took him a minute to stay healthy and really find his footing in Major League Baseball, but now, he's arguably the sport's biggest star, the face of the sport.
All right, let's stay in Major League Baseball, where Aaron Judge hit his league-leading 26th and 27th home runs last night in a Yankees win. And there's some contract tension along with it.
He bet on himself in the offseason, turned down roughly $213 million, and it looks like it was a wise decision by him because his number is going up every single day.
Every single hit?
Every single hit. He's always been incredible, really, since the moment he entered Major League Baseball, but he's operating at a new level this season. And, if you were giving out MVP awards right now, he'd be the easy winner in the American League, and he's the best player in baseball right now.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell for more videos.